President, please be seated. The court is now in session. Today we will continue to hear the testimony of the witness, and the floor will be given to the civil party counsels. Ms. Sakobuti, could you report the participation of the parties and the individuals summoned by the chamber? Sakobuti, Mr. President, all parties are present except Defense Counsel Michael Canavas, the International Counsel for Ieng Sary, with no reason. The accused Ieng Sary is present in the holding cell downstairs, and he requests to waive his direct presence through his counsel through this proceeding and to follow it through audio-visual means. A letter of waiver has been delivered to the greffier. As for the reserve witness, TCW 321 is waiting in the waiting room. The chamber has received the request made by the accused Ieng Sary through his counsel, dated the 20th of June 2012, to request not to directly follow the proceeding in the courtroom and instead to follow the proceeding in the holding cell downstairs through audio-visual means, as he cannot sit for long in the courtroom. And also the treating doctor of the accused Ieng Sary made his recommendation that for today's proceeding, the treating doctor recommends that he should follow the proceedings through audio-visual means in the holding cell downstairs, as he is tired in going up and down the staircase and cannot sit for long in the courtroom. So Mr. Ieng Sary requests to follow it through the audio-visual means, and he can also contact his defense team from the holding cell. The chamber therefore agrees to the request made by Ieng Sary to waive his rights to follow the proceeding directly in the courtroom and to follow it through the audio-visual means for the entire day proceeding. AV unit, you are instructed to link the proceedings through audio-visual means to the holding cell downstairs. The floor is now given to the civil party lead co-lawyers to put question to this witness. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. Good morning, Mr. Jun Kim. I am the civil party lawyer and I have some questions for you. Through your experience and knowledge, as you have been the commune chief and also the cooperative chief during the decay regime, we would like you to shed light on some events related to what you have heard, have known and have seen during that period. The question is following. Yesterday, in your response to the prosecution regarding your entry into the party membership, my question is, before you joined the CPK, when did you join the Khmer Rouge Revolutionary Movement? Answer. My apology, I have a sore throat this morning. I joined the Khmer Rouge Revolutionary Movement after Kati province was liberated. And on the 4th of March 1971, the district committee appointed me to be the commune chief of Watana. It was a new commune. It was part of an old commune, but then that area was established as a new commune under the name of Watana. That's all. Question. Can you tell us the reason that you decided to join the movement? Is it voluntarily? Answer. As we all know, there was a movement then. As a peasant in Watana commune, if I did not join the movement, I might be in danger one day, because the movement was rather active at the time. So in order for me to understand about the revolution, I decided to join that movement so that I can understand the matter more clearly, and also in order to protect myself and also to protect the people. Question. I have some other questions related to your meeting with Mr. Nuon Chea in Kati province, which is Sector 505. My question is, when you met Nuon Chea then, besides Nuon Chea, did you meet with any other CPK leaders in that meeting? Answer. When Nuon Chea went to D3 in the commune, the main content was to establish the mutual assistance group and the cooperatives, and the cadres that escorted him did not include any of the senior leadership. At that time, the dignitary were those from the Sector 505 District Committee and Mr. Nuon Chea, and that's all. Questions. Besides talking about the low-level and high-level cooperative establishment, did Nuon Chea talk about the plan to have a final attack to liberate the entire country? Answer. Regarding the war situation at the time, that is in 1973, Cambodia had gone through a very hot and hostile war with the Lonol group, backed by the Americans. Usually, for all meetings, say by the CPK, either in the district or in the provincial town, they never talk about the final attack. They talk about the start of the attack by mentioning first the current situation back then. Question. Did you know that at that time Nuon Chea talk or give instructions regarding the principle that people at the base need to prepare to receive the people from Phnom Penh when they country were to be liberated? Answer. Regarding the instructions in connection to the evacuation, there was no such instruction or principle because the war at the time was ongoing. So he did not say what to do after we win the war or how people were to be evacuated. Question. Yesterday in your reply to the prosecutor, you said that after your meeting with Nuon Chait, who was the secretary of Sabo district, called you and the district committee to give instruction to establish a community and not the cooperative. The question is, what is the distinction between a community and a cooperative? Answer. Yes, there is a distinction. Cooperative means everything is communal and the benefit is shared. As for the community, everything is put together, we work together and we eat together without sharing the benefit. Question. Regarding the community establishment in Sambo district, until when was it in existence? Answer. Community was established in 1973 as instructed by Chait. It was in existence until 1979 because we ate communally at the time and until then. My next question is related to your meeting with Nuon Chea. Did you know or were you told if the position of Nuon Chea at the time, that is his position within the CPK? Answer. Regarding the role of Nuon Chea at the time, I did not know clearly, but I knew that he was with the party center. So he was at the supreme leadership level of the CPK. Question. Now I touch upon another topic that is regarding the administrative structure at the base in relation to the commune and the cooperative. In your statement through the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges, you stated that in Sambo commune there were two cooperatives, Sambo and Sakun, and I'd like to use that document to be projected on the screen. It's D125/184. Here and in Khmer. Is 00340150, and in English 00345192, in French 00404178. The President, yes, you may proceed. like to quote your statement. After the two cooperatives were established, they no longer talked about the commune. My question is, at that time, was there still a commune chief or commune committee? Or did you carry both the role of the commune chief and the role of the cooperative chief? Answer. When the cooperatives were to be established, then the chief of the commune was appointed as the chief of the cooperative, and there was no new commune chief or new cooperative chief. And as for the village chiefs, they would be the chiefs of the target groups. And each responsible for a particular target group. Question. Did it mean that no longer there was a commune chief for Sambo commune? Answer. No, there was no longer a commune chief. They were referring at the time only to the cooperative, not the commune. Question. Yesterday you stated that in the cooperative there was a 3-person committee. What was the name of their committee? Were they called the commune chief or the commune committee? Answer. When the commune became the cooperative, then they would be called the cooperative committee, not the commune committee. And the secretary of the commune or the chief of the commune, their role would be just changed to the chief of the cooperative. However, there is no change in structure when it comes to the party structure. Question. As the commune secretary or commune committee, did you ever receive any principle or plan from the upper echelon for you to send the ones who made mistakes and who would consider enemies to any security center? Answer. Regarding the sending of people, it is connected to the reporting regime. If a commune reported that a person was a bad element, then that person will be instructed to be sent. However, if there was no such report that someone was an enemy within the cooperative, then there will be no instruction to send them. I myself never made any report regarding the people or the youth within my cooperative. And later on, some of the youths left, and some joined the army, and some went to serve at the district office, and some went to the rubber plantation. So within the commune, the labor force was minimized. And I had the impression that if every time there was a report about this person was an enemy or that person was an enemy, then there will be no significant force to work on the production. And as I was a commune leader, I never made any report for my people to be killed, as I stated. Question. Regarding the cooperative again, I'd like to talk about the means of communication. What means you use most between you and your upper echelon regarding your work? Answer. Regarding the means of communication, there were two ways. For example, during a meeting and after a meeting, we would set the next plan or schedule for the next meeting, as I stated yesterday. The district and the commune usually meet on a weekly basis. For example, if we meet today, which is a Wednesday, then we would hold a similar meeting next Wednesday. So we would set the next meeting on today. And second, in case of emergency or if there is a particular issue outside of our scheduled plan, then there would be a district messenger who would liaise with the commune, and the commune itself also would have a messenger to liaise with the district. So these are the two means of communication at the time. Question. In regard to the commune, you stated that you were the commune chief of commune committee from the 4th of March 71 till February 77. The question is, in the Watana commune under your management, how many cooperatives? Answer. In Watana community, which I controlled, there was only one cooperative. However, in some villages, there were target groups for specific tasks. In Sambo, there were 2 cooperatives, but in Watana, there was only one cooperative. And usually, one commune would only have one cooperative, but Sambo commune was rather large, that's why there were 2 cooperatives. Mr. President, I'd like to show another document. That is his statement. In document D125/184, the Khmer EIN is 00340150. In English, 00345192, and in French, 00404178. President, yes, you may proceed. The question that put to you was that while you were holding your position, what were the tasks that you instructed your subordinates to carry out? And your response is, we called for meetings amongst village chiefs and we assigned them tasks. Once in receipt of a master plan from the upper echelon, I had weekly meetings with village chiefs. My question is, from whom did you learn how to set the plan? Answer. For the action plan, we kind of developed it. However, in other times, it was the instructions from the district level. And during our study session, we also received instructions regarding how to make our plan. Question. Can you elaborate further when you talk about the upper echelon? From which level up? Answer. The upper echelon was the district and the sector levels. Question. In regards to the upper echelon, you said earlier that you communicated with the upper echelon, having meetings with them, reporting to them. Did you know that the upper echelon knew about any forced labor or starvation happening in your commune? Answer. Regarding this matter, the upper echelon set a plan for us to run the cooperative. Regarding the food regime in the commune, actually the instruction from the district is to have gruel for everyone. And if we were insufficient, we should share among ourselves. But I did not implement the instruction regarding having a gruel. But I never raised my objection during the meeting. I only said outside the meeting quietly that if they want people in my commune to eat gruel, then I should be removed from that position. Otherwise, I would allow my people to eat rice. I noticed that some points of the party lines instructed from the upper echelon was for us to have rights for the people. However, I could not recall which exact documents that they mentioned at that point. Because there was some instruction that in some cases where people did not have rights to eat and it grew, then that area should be examined whether the leadership was sufficient or have any plan for people to improve their livelihood, or whether the leadership in that particular area was treacherous and not to allow people to have sufficient food. In my area, people always ate rice. It was based on my principle that if people did not have sufficient to eat and they only eat gruel or tree root, then they would not have strength to work. And in that sense, I objected to that principle. If they want the area under my control for the people there to eat gruel, then they can remove me from my position. And I maintain that point strongly. Then the upper echelon did not really do anything, and they were actually my friends too. But at present, they all passed away. So that is my response to your question regarding the food regime. In other areas, people might eat gruel, but not in my commune. When I was in Watanabe, people ate rice. When I went to Sambo, people ate rice. And when I went to B3, initially they ate kind of a steamed rice, but later on, of course, they ate cooked rice to eat. At that time, we received rice from the district, and the quantity of the rice provided by the district was rather sufficient because we have about 500 to 700 youth working there. And then I allowed them all to have a rice. That is my response.
Question. I have a few more questions concerning the arrest. In the record of your interview, you stated that you received letters from the district level concerning the arrest of Ta Chi. After receiving the letter from the district level, had you ever received any other letters from the superior concerning the arrest? Response. When I was the Watana commune chief or the chief of Sambo commune and the B3 youth site, a work site, I had received an invitation for Tachi. It was not an arrest warrant. They invited Tachi to come to the district office, and that was the only letter I had ever obtained concerning the arrest of that person. Question. Yesterday you said the Sambo district committee had some immoral conduct with women that led to his arrest. My question is, as the chief of the cooperative, were you ever aware of any young people having committed or moral misconduct in your location? Response. In my cooperative, when it comes to morale, I had no knowledge of having seen young people having committed such acts, but there were some adults who had been engaged in these acts, but they were not arrested. They were just educated. Now I'll give you an example of a person who worked at the transport unit who had to transport the food to a faraway paddy field. So during the time of his work, he spent a few nights midway, and he had an affair with a woman. However, upon learning this, we had to refashion him, and he was corrected, and without any arrest was ever been made. Question. Had you ever gone through any training course on the morality? Response. During the Democratic Cambodia regime, I had received trainings on morality because this matter was important. It was vital because if it was breached, it would violate the party's policy. So it was a kind of severe offense regarded by the regime. So the people and I myself had to be very careful with this, and we also had to pay great attention to the young people. We did give them rights to get married, but they had to report to their respective superior for such proposal. Question. As the chief of the communes and cooperative, had you asked for any permission to travel whenever you wish to? Response. When the travel was necessary, when, for example, a person's biography had to be checked or follow up regarding young people, and if we learn that their family members could have been affiliated with some people, or we would like to know their family background, then I had to travel. However, the travel had to be allowed by a letter issued by the district level. However, I do not remember having traveled to any place for that, because I had another important fish to fry during that time that I did not have to move from my place. And I missed my parents who lived in Krochma, but I never asked for such permission to visit them. So we had a problem with this kind of family bond because we were far apart from the family. Question: what about ordinary people, villagers? If they wanted to move from their village to other location, what should they do? Did they have to ask for permission? But from whom? Response: it was very rare that anyone would ask for permission to go anywhere. Before the country was liberated before 1970, in 1973 or 1974, people would ask for permission to visit their parents. But after 1975, this was no longer the case, because people who stayed in one place would remain in that location without moving. And later on, when I became the head of the cooperative of Srai Khun, and I moved to B3 work site, I allowed young people to visit home. People who had a faraway family could be allowed 5 days to visit their family members. Those who had a family who lived in a nearby location, that they would allow 3 days for that. For people who lived in Koh Khnyai, which was far from the work site, and they would be allowed 5 days to visit their parents. At that time, if people moved to their hometown without permission, then they would not be allowed some rights when they came back. But that didn't happen at my cooperative. Question: so this means that before 1975, freedom was allowed, or people could move, or had the liberty to move, roam around, but this was no longer the case after 1975. Is that correct? Response: yes, it is correct. After 1975, it was rather strict when it came to moving about easily. This did not only apply to ordinary people, it also applied to the cadres of the Khmer Rouge, and people had no reason to move elsewhere anyway. Question: now we move to the structure of the district. You said there were 3 districts: Sombo, Snuol, and Kroche. Now, with regard to Sombo district, there was a commune called Sombo Commune. Could you tell us the structure of the commune? How many officers were under this commune supervision? Response: during that time, there was a common office where there was a meeting hall, and also a house where the leaders of the district could stay. And there were 2 other separate offices: the economic office for dealing with logistics, including clothes and tools to be distributed to the cooperative, and another office was the social affair office, which includes the medics and also a security office where people would be detained. So there were 3 main offices altogether. Council, Mr. President, with your leave, I would like document the 3 document D232/61 ERN in Khmer 00402522, English 00412191, and French 00434567. The President, you may proceed. In that, the question about your role to report to the center, and you said you had no idea. You indicated that what you learned is that the commune had to send a report to the district who sent further to the province. My next question is, what kind of report that you said was sent from commune to the district and to the sector, and how was it sent? Response: as I already indicated yesterday, this report mainly was recorded from the meeting. For example, we had a regular meeting, and any commune representative who had anything to talk about security, about agriculture and social matters and other aspects would be talked in the meeting, and the minutes would be recorded. And based on these records, the district would have to send these reports to the province. I had no idea what happened after this. Question: were reports ever sent by means of telegrams from the commune to the district level? Is that what you may know? Response: at the commune level, there was nothing like that. We only reported verbally, meeting the person to whom we reported to in persons. And I don't know how the reports would be carried from the district to the sector, but I believe that there were messengers who carried the documents. Council, Mr. President, the same document on the same page, I would like to also quote the question in which you were asked that when you refer to Phnom Penh, did you refer to Office 870? And you said perhaps it was that office, although I don't know much about this. And at that time, Nuon Chea was in charge of Crutches province because he often visited the province. I do not know any other person. I have heard of Khieu Samphan, Ieng Sari, Pol Pot, Ieng Thirit, but that's all I know. And now my question is, do you know the roles of the senior leaders? Response: I know that Pol Pot was the party secretary. Question: What about Mr. Kilsampon? What did he do after 1975? Have you ever heard about this, or were you ever told about his role? Response. Mr. Kilsampon, so far as I have heard of, was the head of state of the CPK. I can't recollect the right term they used back then. I'm not sure I can say the term correctly. Question. What about Mr. Ieng Sari? Did you ever know what he did, or were you ever told about his role? Response. I know this very clearly because I was told that Ieng Sari was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thank you, says Counsel. I would like to move to another question concerning Sector 505. Are you aware of the structure or the offices surrounding Sector 505? Response. I am not certain about this because I don't know much about that place. Indeed, I was invited to attend study sessions there, but then after the sessions I would just come home. Question. You said that 505 was an autonomous sector who received direct order from the center. My question is, did you know why 505 was named a special or autonomous zone, or rather autonomous sector? Response. 505 became autonomous sector was heard, but I have no idea why it became the autonomous sector. Question. The next topic would be about the military structure. You had been in the revolutionary movement for a long time. According to your experience, do you think you can tell the court about the military structure to the best of your recollection? Response. With regard to the military structure, I don't know. But I know that in the communes, there were commune chiefs who were overly in charge when the deputy chief of the commune were in charge of military. I had no idea what happened with regard to the structure at the provincial level when it comes to military. Question. How many kinds of military units or sections were there under Division 5, rather Sector 505? Response. In this sector, I know that there were sector military. However, I have no idea whether there were any other kind of military. I know that there was a division. However, I have no knowledge about this. In Thmor Krai, there was a division named 801. They stationed at the pagoda in Thmor Krai location. That's all I know. But I don't know how military was organized or structured. Question. In Sector 505, were you aware that the military had the authority to arrest any people who pursued enemies? Response. Military had no role in the arrests. It was the security who was in charge of arresting people. Military was not vested with the authority to do so. They were expected to attack the enemies at the border when needed. That's all. Question. I would like now to move to another topic concerning the forced marriages. Yesterday you testified before the chamber that you helped arrange when there were proposals for marriages from the district, and there were proposals from Division 920 as well concerning the marriages. Were you aware that there were proposals in which the persons who proposed were the wounded or the handicapped soldiers who proposed to get married with women? Response. As I already indicated, when I was the chief of the youth unit, there were proposals from the military unit through the district committee for the marriage of for 30 women to get married to the soldiers. However, in my location, there were some volunteers, women who volunteered to become the wives of those soldiers. There was no coercive measure or kind of force, and I have no idea whether the women got married with the handicapped soldiers or not, because that marriages didn't happen in my location. Question. Were you aware that women in the community would protest against such a proposal? And if it happened, what happened? Response. I had never heard or encountered such incidents where people denied such proposals. The women who had been proposed by the military was out of my hand when they were at the military section, and women in my cooperatives had no such problem. Because at our work site, no marriages were ever organized. And in the cooperatives, if the couples had consent to get married, then we had to arrange for them, and there was no protest. Question. Now we move to another topic concerning the treatment of the Muslim people or Chams. You said that in some cooperatives, pork was forced to be given to the Islam or Chams people. Could you please describe more about this? Response. With regard to the eating habit, there was no rule to say that the Cham people had to be given pork. Everyone had to have the eat food like pork. In the cooperatives, I had no information about this, but I can say that only people who worked at the kitchen who would be the ones who offered the pork to some Cham people. If there was no, not from these people, then they would be offered prahok instead. Question. Now, I move to B3. You said you was the head of B3 unit, and in 1978 there was a big flood when youth were gathered to solve this problem. However, in the work site there were about 100 patients, and you said that you complained of the shortage of workforce and you asked for more people to help. So could you tell us about the plan? What kind of plan was that, and who really ordered it? Response. Yesterday I stated already that on the 11th of June 1978, the district committee asked me to be in charge of the work site when my predecessor, Mr. Sarun, left. I was asked to clear 100 hectares of land because I was asked to do that. And they said that I had 450 people. We had machetes, we had tools, hoes, and everything. And I said I would be in great danger, because if I could not really implement the plan, then I would be in big trouble. At night, I would think about this. I thought that there were not enough tools, so I came back home and I requested that the worksmith, rather the blacksmiths, had to make some machetes and tools for me to help clear the land. And the people had to be assisted by elephants. So the big trees that were chopped down would be pulled by the elephants. So with that I knew that I could not be in danger. And indeed in 1978 there was a very big flood in the Mekong River. It was the biggest since I was born. And when the water receded, they had forces to help with this. So I asked the district committee that forces cannot be removed to assist the district because I had to achieve the plan rendered to me by Angka. But the district committee said that I would be okay with my plan. Whatever I could do, it was up to me. However, I kept insisting that I needed some people to help me to ensure that it was successful. And I kept saying that I needed people. Without my intelligence, when I took some elephant to assist the work, I wouldn't achieve a great success there.
I'd like to show document D23/31 the English EAN 004151 412193 and in French 00424568. The question is, can you recall what Anuti said at the time? And your response was, the main content was that wherever it was difficult, then the mutual assistance shall be done, and at other locations, which it was rather difficult, then a low-level cooperative shall be established, and where it was rather easy, then the high-level cooperative shall be established. The question is, in your entire commune, when the communal eating started? Answer, as I stated yesterday, when Nunchi went to give instructions on the establishment of the cooperative, that is the low level and the high level, and the mutual assistance group based on the real situation at the base. For instance, if they are rather well off, and if we convince the President, Mr. Witness, your response is repetitive, which is not the content of the question. The question is, in Sector 505, when the communal eating started, your answer was already given to the prosecution yesterday. Please respond only to the point that you asked in the question. Answer. Communal dining in Sambo district. Of course, I did not have the knowledge of the entire Sector 505. At the commune, it was started in 1973. After the instruction given by Nuon Chia, then Chait implemented straight away, and nobody dared to object. And he said that if people dare not do it, then we just appointed people to organize it, and that was the orders from Chait. Mr. President, I do not have any more questions for this witness, and thank you, Mr. Witness. Next, I would like my colleague to put question to you. President, thank you. Now, the international lead co-lawyer, you may proceed.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to everyone in and around the courtroom. And good morning, witness. I have very few questions to put to you because you already have provided us with a lot of explanation. I simply would like to ask you, however, a few more questions to try to get extra specifications on certain points. My first question regards the living conditions in the cooperatives. You said that you had received instructions and that you said that in your cooperative you made sure that people ate to their fill, and you also tried to make sure that the rules would be more lenient than the instructions that were given to you. I would like to know, therefore, if during the meetings you had with the other cooperative leaders, you heard about the living conditions in other cooperatives, and if, for example, if you heard about certain places where people did not have enough to eat.
Answer. Regarding the livelihood of the people in a Sambo commune, of course I could not grasp hold of the situation in other communes. The people in Sambo commune, unlike the other communes, where people only ate gruel. Though the gruel is not that was not that watery, it was rather thick gruel. And so besides eating gruel, there were supplementary food like potato, for instance. So livelihood and food was not really a big problem. As under my management at the Sambo commune, people ate rice. So wherever I administered, people under my supervision ate rice.
Witness, please forgive me, my question is not this one. My question is, did you hear during your meetings with other cooperative leaders and other commune leaders, if you heard that in other cooperatives or in other communes than those under your authority, whether there were problems of food, whether people did not eat to their fill in different places from what was under your control?
Answer. There was no report about the food shortage in other communes during the meeting. However, as I said, in other cooperatives, people ate gruel, not rice.
Did you hear about very strenuous working conditions in other cooperatives than yours? For example, when you were speaking to other cooperative leaders or during meeting?
Answer. Yes, I heard about that. For example, at the Water commune, after I left, I went to visit there occasionally. People there told me that the target group were rather strict, as they were woken up at 3 a.m. and some children slept on the rice dike. So sometimes people at a certain target groups try to force people to work harder. This is just an example.
Did you also hear about people who became ill because they did not have enough food or because they were working too hard? Or did you hear about people who would die because of lack of food or because of working conditions that were too strenuous, or because of both?
Answer. Regarding the health of the people, in Sambo district, we did not experience such a problem. People got sick not because of the food ration. People got sick because of other illnesses, in particular malaria. Many people got sick of malaria, and I myself was also hospitalized due to malaria. And the medicine for the treatment was rather limited.
Thank you, witness. Before I move on to another topic, I would like simply to indicate to the parties and to the chamber that we have here a document D22/517, which is the statement of a civil party who lived at the cooperative under the witness's control. Maybe the witness could give us extra information. So I would simply like to give you the reference number of this document, such as the prosecution has done for other documents. I wish now to ask you another question on another topic. You explained, or you said in your statements to the co-investigating judges, and you said here as well, that you had learned about the arrests of many people, of cadres, and you explained as well the way that these arrests took place. That is to say, you said people were invited, and you insisted upon the term invite, to a meeting, and the person was arrested during the meeting. Did you discuss with the other people the way these arrests took place? And what would you say among each other regarding these arrests, regarding the way these arrests took place, and regarding the reason why these people were arrested?
Answer. Regarding the arrest, I myself never discussed with any others. Some of my friends actually disappeared, but I did not meet in secret and talk about this arrest. Of course, some of the friends were arrested, but we never discuss about that or never express our concern that maybe next it will be our turn.
Why didn't you speak about this?
Answer. First, we were concerned. For example, if Mr. A was arrested and we talked about his arrest and the reasons for his arrest, then we would start to mistrust one another. Because if we talked about that and if there was a report that we talk about that, then we would put ourselves in danger. So we just keep quiet. And we thought of what we should do in order to survive.
Thank you, witness, for this clarification. You also said that the district asked you to organize or classify the people in 3 categories. And in particular, the third category, the new people, and you said that you were not going to carry out this classification. But when you were explained how this 3-category classification operated, were you also told how or by which concrete means in day-to-day life this was going to be implemented? Were there differences in terms of food? Were there differences in terms of housing for the different categories of people?
Answer. During the Democratic Cambodia regime, the food regime was not separated for any particular group, for example, for different classifications of people. I did not know the actual reason for the classification of people, that is the full right people or the best people and the candidate people group. Candidate people group could be the best people who had the kind of tendency to oppose the party, and the depository group was those who were the new people. However, as I said, although there was instruction for the classification, it was only written in the book for the report, but actually I never classified the people under my supervision.
Thank you. I now wish to put to you a question regarding marriages and the way these marriages took place. You told us that marriages in the army would take place upon orders from the upper ranks, and you said that through the districts you received a request to marry 30 young maids, and you also explained that the maids received a number as well as the young men, and people would marry according to number. But were you also told the reasons why it was necessary to get married in this way with numbers that were attributed? Were you given the reasons why things were organized this way? Because I believe that before people married freely and upon a free private choice.
Answer. Regarding the women who were requested by the military from my work site, I did not know much about their wedding. However, I once attended a meeting in the adjacent commune, and what I noticed was that the women, the bride and the groom, wore number each, and there were about 10 couples at the time. So women bearing number 1 had to get married to a man bearing number 1, so on and so forth. However, when it comes to the issue of whether the marriage was forced or consented, I did not know. I only attended, and that's what I observed in this multi-couple marriage arrangement by having the bride and the groom wearing a number each.
Thank you. Well, simply, I would like you to tell us, or I believe that this way of marrying was different from the way people got married before the regime of Democratic Cambodia. So why were marriages taking place in this new way?
Answer. I thought that the marriage under the Democratic Cambodia regime, by having the bride and the grooms wearing a number each in a multi-couple arrangement, was for them to save time and to save food and other stuff. This is just my observation and thinking. In the cooperative, sometimes I also organize a wedding ceremony, and the most were 2 couples for that marriage arrangement, and sometimes we killed a cow for the marriage.
Thank you, witness. Now I would like to bring up a last topic. You told us that you received instructions that you would produce reports, and you spoke at length about the hierarchy. And a few minutes ago, you spoke about the center, and you also spoke about Mr. Nunchia, and you said that he had supreme authority because he was part of the center. What do you mean by supreme authority? What does that mean exactly?
Answer. I refer to the supreme leadership level.
Qu'est-ce que cela
What does that mean, according to you, supreme authority, and on the basis of your experience under the Democratic Cambodia regime?
The President, Mr. Witness, please hold on. Defense Counsel, you may proceed. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. The witness stated that the supreme authority referred to the supreme leadership level, and the follow-up question is, what does that mean? I believe the follow-up question is for the witness to make a guesstimation or a personal conclusion. President, the objection is sustained. Mr. Witness, you do not need to respond to this question. You cannot reply to a question which seeks your personal opinion regarding the events that took place. The question that is put to the witness shall be the one of the nature that he have seen as witness or has experienced through the events occurred during the decay period.
Mr. President, I will abide. I am simply telling you for the record that I believe that the witness was able to explain technically what the word supreme authority meant in technical terms, not in terms of what he may suppose from that. However, I am finished with my questioning. Thank you, thank you, witness, for your useful contribution.
The President, thank you. Judges of the bench, do you have a question to be put to the witness? Judge of the bench, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, witness. I have a few questions following up on what was already discussed, and I would like to revisit your responsibilities as the head of Sambo Commune and then as leader of Srekun Cooperative. You told us that Sambo Commune was divided into two cooperatives. Can you tell us which villages were included in Srekun Cooperative or dependent upon Srekun Cooperative?
Answer: the Sambo commune had 8 villages, and when it was divided into 2 cooperatives, the Srekun had 4 villages: Srekun, Chatnaut, Samrao, and Kaenya Prasad.
And these 4 villages, were these 4 villages Kang Prasad, Srekun, Charnol, and Samrong? Were those the 4 villages?
Je suis désolé pour...
I apologize for the Khmer pronunciation.
Answer: yes, that is correct.
And was Srekun Cooperative also known as Kang Prasad Cooperative?
Answer: Srekun Cooperative is a Srekun Cooperative, not a Kaeng Prasad. However, Kain Prasad is part of the Saraikun Cooperative. It is one of the 4 villages in Saraikun Cooperative.
Where was the security center? Where was the Kok Duok Security Center precisely located? Kok Duok.
Answer. Kok Duok Security Center was located in Kain Prasad village. It was about 2 kilometers from the riverbank.
And was the Koh Samtok Security Center also part of Kain Prasad village? Or the Kain Prasad Center, correct interpreter?
Answer. Koh Samtok is a small island to the upper part of the Saraikun. It was not a major security center. However, some prisoners were detained at Samtok, and their task was to engage in vegetation and to raise cattle, as there were plenty of water and the soil there was fertile for vegetation.
And was Kok Duok Island located at the limits of Saraikun Cooperative?
Answer. Kok Duok office was not in Saraikun Cooperative, although it is physically located there, but it was under the supervision of the district.
And can you remind us of who was in charge of Kok Duok Security Center?
Answer. Regarding Kok Duok, I did not know who was the chief of the center who stationed there. But previously, it was under the management of Kung Samun. But when he was transferred to be chief of the Watana commune, I believe Ken John replaced him. And later on, when Samun was arrested from Watana, then Ken John replaced him at the Watana commune. And since then, I did not know who was in charge. But the one who stationed there was a Sarun. I used to work together with him, and later on, Bay May An was assigned as a secretary at Kok Duok.
I just want to make sure that I understand completely. Did you say that Sao Hun was during a period at the head of Kok Duok?
Response. Could you honor repeat the question? Are you referring to Sarun or Sarun? If Sarun, in that case, he of course was in charge of that location.
Yes, I'll attempt to be much more specific. Now, again, I apologize for my pronunciation, but you indicated that Saohun or Sarun was at the head of B3. Was the person who was chief of B3 also the chief of Kok Duok?
Response. B3 and Kok Duoj were two different locations. Kok Duoj was the security office of Sambo. B3, before it was converted into the youth work site, was also a security office where cadres were gathered from other districts to be detained at the B3 location. So one location was for the province, one for the district.
Je vais répéter ma question.
I'll have to repeat my question because unfortunately you have not answered it. Now, was Sarun also at the head of Kokdoik? Sarun was the person that you had succeeded.
No response. Sarun was not the chief of security office of Kok Duoj. There was another Sarun who was in charge of Kok Duoj security office. So in all there were two Saruns.
Yesterday you told the court, and you also said during previous interviews, that you were head of the Seikrun cooperative, and you were also later on head of B3. You were a deputy. There was also a deputy. Can you please remind the court who that person was?
Response. When I resumed my position at B3, the youth unit, I came there with two people. With the person named Payne. Payne was assigned by the district to work with me. 3 months after that, he had been transferred to become the head of the Watana cooperative when his predecessor was arrested.
Payne.
Was Ping also your deputy when you were head at Saikum?
Response. Ben was my deputy at Sraikun cooperative, and he also was assigned to assist me when I worked as the head of B3.
Est-ce que vous pouvez...
Can you please tell us in what circumstances Penn died?
No. Response. When Ben became the head of the Watana cooperative, he had remained there until the 7th of January 1979. He returned from his place to Prekrieng, where he was beaten to death by the villagers.
Donc il a été...
Therefore, he was executed by the people. Why was he executed, in your opinion?
Response. I don't know for sure, and I did not conduct any research on this. However, there was rumor that there was some revenge, and that some belongings of the people who were executed were left with him. So he was beaten to death when people came to collect the belongings of the deceased.
if it's an appropriate time to break for this morning's session. I do have a few more questions to put to the witness, however.
The President, you may proceed, Judge Lavian.
Witness, can you please speak to us a little bit more about B3? You stated that B3 had previously been a security center. Can you please tell me when you arrived at B3? Who were the people living in B3? Did they remain at B3? What happened to them afterwards?
Response. B3 was a location where committees of the cooperatives and district committees who were regarded as enemies detained. So people who were to be punished were detained at B3. Although the location was not regarded as the severe security office, it was regarded as a correction camp. So people had freedom to work as people in the cooperatives. They could do farming and other normal tasks as the other did in the cooperatives. However, I have no idea when B3 was emptied. But after the 17th of April 1978, youth were moved to that location at B3 under supervision of Sarun. And I was told that Sarun was not good at that, because he used violence, military authority, or too harsh, and I was requested to replace him at B3. When I arrived at B3, I only saw the youth who were doing farming, clearing land. There were about 50 sheds. In each shed, 10 people would stay in, and also a kitchen. And there were no shackles, and I can say that people who had been detained at B3 were not those who committed serious wrongdoings. They were there to be educated.
Il y avait des gens armés.
They were not shackled, but were there security officers? Were there people who were responsible for monitoring them and for making sure that they would not try and escape B3?
Response. As I indicated, I came to B3 at a later date after the cadres who had been detained at the vicinity had already been removed. So none of them remained, instead of the youth who had been transferred in by late of April. So the situation at B3 during the time when the cadres had been detained was out of my knowledge.
Mr. Witness, during your interviews before the investigators of the co-investigating judges, you stated that there were some 450 young people and an additional 250 young people. if I understand correctly, at some point there were as many as 650 young people who were located at B3. Is this a correct understanding?
Response. Indeed, at B3 there had been 450 youth at the place already. Later on, under my supervision, there were about 250 young people who had to be transferred to that B3. Altogether, there was about 700 young people. But the new youth, the newcomers, were transferred there for a few months only before they further removed, and the previous youth remained in the B3.
We'll come back to the issue of the newcomers later on, but can you please tell us, can you please confirm that B3 was located in the forest? Was it located in an area where malaria was rampant? Was it located in an area where there was no farming, where people were being ordered to clear the lands? Can you please tell the court if there were up to 700 people living in a location where there was absolutely no service, where they were completely isolated, where the living conditions were particularly difficult, and where there was no possibility for leaving?
Response. B3 was not a location where we had concern regarding youth who would flee. There were two medics who were on duty at that vicinity. There were decent medicine to help treat people when need be. And when I was there, I noted there were some cases of malaria, but they were not very serious. I myself was also I had the malaria, but was treated. So we had no worry about people escaping.
Yeah.
Very well. You stated that you had to implement the plan that was given to you. Therefore, you did not require assistance from the district. And if I understand correctly, following those observations that you made, you witnessed the arrival of newcomers. Can you please tell us where those young people were coming from?
Response. These young people, new young people who came to B3, the 250 people came from Mê Mốt of Kampong Cham province. I'm not sure why they were transferred to my location, but I know for sure that in Tam Muong village, it was adjacent to the Vietnamese Cambodia-Vietnam border. The President, I know that there are some more questions. Although Judge Lavang said that there would be 2 questions, but it appears that he would have a few more questions. So we should take the adjournment now until 11 o'clock. Court officers is now instructed to assist witness during the recess. and have him return to the courtroom by 5 past 11.
សូមក្រោកឈរ